The divine energy that sustains the entire cosmos flows through every atom of creation, yet most human beings remain unaware of this infinite reservoir of power available to them. We walk through life feeling depleted, exhausted, and limited, never realizing that we are like someone dying of thirst while standing in the middle of an ocean of fresh water. The great masters throughout history have demonstrated that human consciousness can be transformed into a channel for divine power, allowing us to accomplish what seems impossible and to live with boundless energy, wisdom, and joy. Before we begin, if you enjoy this video, give me a like, comment below about your thought and hit subscribe button so you don't miss any video inspired by Yogananda's teaching. Thank you very much. The first essential understanding is that God's power is not something distant or separate from us. The Supreme Being is not merely watching from some remote heaven but is the very essence of our existence, the consciousness behind our consciousness, the life force animating our bodies and minds. When we breathe, it is God breathing through us. When our hearts beat, it is the divine rhythm pulsing within us. The electricity of thought flowing through our brains is nothing less than cosmic energy manifesting in individualized form. To fill ourselves with God's powers, we must first recognize that we are already immersed in divinity, though our awareness of this truth remains clouded by delusion and identification with the limited ego. The ego creates an artificial boundary between the individual soul and the infinite spirit. This boundary is not real in any ultimate sense, but our belief in it makes it functionally real in our experience. We think of ourselves as small, separate beings struggling for survival in an indifferent universe, and this thought itself cuts us off from the unlimited power that is our true nature. The spiritual path begins when we start to question this fundamental assumption about who and what we are. Through deep introspection and meditation, we begin to discover that our true self is not the body, not the emotions, not even the thoughts, but the eternal witness consciousness that observes all these phenomena. Meditation is the primary technique for opening ourselves to receive God's power. In the stillness of deep meditation, the restless waves of thought that normally agitate the mind begin to subside. As the mental turbulence calms, we discover an inner peace that is not dependent on external circumstances. This peace is not merely the absence of disturbance but a positive presence, a tangible divine presence that fills our awareness with light and bliss. Regular meditation practice gradually expands our capacity to hold this divine consciousness, much as a vessel can be enlarged to contain more water. The more we meditate, the more we can receive and retain God's power in our daily lives. The breath is the connecting link between body and soul, between the material and spiritual dimensions of our being. By learning to control and refine the breath through specific yogic techniques, we gain access to the subtle life force that the ancient yogis called prana. This prana is not merely oxygen or any physical substance but the intelligent energy that builds and maintains the body, that heals wounds, that converts food into living tissue. When we practice pranayama, the science of breath control, we are learning to consciously direct this life force rather than allowing it to flow automatically according to unconscious patterns. Through pranayama, we can withdraw energy from the senses and the external world and redirect it inward toward spiritual awakening. Concentration is another essential key to accessing divine power. The human mind in its ordinary state is scattered and diffused, its energy dissipated in countless directions simultaneously. We think about the past, worry about the future, react to sensory stimuli, engage in mental conversations, and jump from one thought to another in rapid succession. This scattered state of consciousness is weak and ineffective. But when we learn to focus the mind one-pointedly on a single object or idea, we begin to harness mental energy in a powerful way. The concentrated mind becomes like a laser beam that can penetrate through the veils of ignorance and illuminate the truth. Through sustained concentration, we can direct our consciousness toward God and eventually merge with the divine consciousness. Prayer, when practiced correctly, is not mere petition or begging but a form of deep communion with the divine. Superficial prayer that asks God for material favors or relief from difficulties has its place, but the highest form of prayer is the soul's yearning for union with its source. This prayer comes from the depths of the heart and expresses itself as intense devotion and love for God. When we pray with this kind of devotion, we create a magnetic pull that draws divine grace toward us. God responds to the sincere call of the devotee just as a mother responds to the cry of her child. The more intense our devotion, the more powerfully we attract God's presence and power into our lives. Visualization is a potent technique for filling ourselves with divine energy. The mind has the power to create reality through the images it holds. When we visualize divine light entering our body, filling every cell with radiant energy, this visualization begins to manifest as actual spiritual experience. We can imagine brilliant white or golden light descending from above, entering through the top of the head, and flooding downward through the spine and throughout the entire body. We can visualize this light dissolving all darkness, all negativity, all disease and limitation. As we practice this visualization regularly with concentration and faith, we actually do become filled with divine light and power. What begins as imagination gradually becomes direct perception and experience. The company we keep and the environment we create around ourselves significantly affect our ability to receive God's power. Spiritual energy is contagious. When we spend time with people who are spiritually advanced, who radiate peace and divine consciousness, some of that consciousness naturally transfers to us. Conversely, when we surround ourselves with people who are negative, materialistic, or spiritually unconscious, their vibrations pull us downward. We should seek out the company of saints and devotees, read inspiring spiritual literature, listen to uplifting music, and create a sacred space in our homes dedicated to meditation and prayer. These external supports help to maintain the high vibration necessary for receiving divine power. Diet and lifestyle also play important roles in our spiritual receptivity. The body is the temple of the soul, and we must keep this temple pure and clean if we want God to dwell within it fully. Heavy, tamasic foods like meat, alcohol, and overly processed items create density and dullness in the body and mind, making it difficult for divine energy to flow freely. A sattvic diet consisting of fresh fruits, vegetables, whole grains, nuts, and dairy products keeps the body light and the mind clear. Moderation in eating, sleeping, and all activities helps to maintain the balance and harmony necessary for spiritual progress. Excessive indulgence in sensory pleasures depletes our vital energy and scatters our consciousness outward, away from God. Service to others is a powerful way to channel divine energy. When we serve selflessly, without expectation of reward or recognition, we become instruments of God's love and compassion in the world. In serving others, we serve God, for God dwells in all beings. This service should not be performed with a sense of superiority or condescension but with genuine humility and recognition of the divine presence in everyone. As we give of ourselves in service, we create a vacuum that God rushes in to fill. The more we give, the more we receive. This is a spiritual law that operates with mathematical precision. Affirmations are another technique for programming the subconscious mind with divine consciousness. The subconscious mind accepts and acts upon whatever thoughts and beliefs we repeatedly impress upon it. Most people unconsciously affirm their limitations, weaknesses, and fears through negative self-talk and pessimistic thinking. But we can consciously choose to affirm our divine nature and unlimited potential. Affirmations such as, "I am a child of God, filled with infinite power and wisdom," or "Divine energy flows through me, renewing every cell of my body," should be repeated with deep concentration and feeling, especially during meditation when the subconscious mind is most receptive. Over time, these affirmations reshape our consciousness and openness to receive the divine powers they describe. Surrender is perhaps the most paradoxical yet essential element in filling ourselves with God's power. The ego wants to achieve, to accomplish, to make things happen through personal effort and will. But the highest spiritual attainment comes not through ego effort but through ego surrender. When we let go of our personal will and align ourselves completely with divine will, we become perfect channels for God's power to flow through us. This surrender does not mean passivity or fatalism but rather an active cooperation with the divine plan. We do our best in every situation while simultaneously releasing attachment to outcomes and trusting that God's wisdom is guiding everything toward the highest good. The practice of presence, of living fully in the present moment, is crucial for maintaining connection with divine power. God exists only in the eternal now. The past is gone, the future has not yet arrived, and only the present moment is real. When our minds are caught up in regrets about the past or anxieties about the future, we disconnect from the divine presence that is always available here and now. By training ourselves to bring our full attention to whatever we are doing in each moment, whether it is meditation, work, conversation, or any other activity, we remain anchored in the eternal present where God's power can reach us. Gratitude is a powerful magnet for divine blessings. When we cultivate an attitude of thankfulness for everything in our lives, both the pleasant and the challenging, we align ourselves with the positive flow of divine energy. Gratitude opens the heart and creates receptivity. Complaining, criticizing, and focusing on what is lacking creates contraction and blocks the flow of grace. We should make it a daily practice to count our blessings, to recognize the countless ways that God is already supporting and sustaining us. This recognition itself invites more blessings to flow into our lives. The ultimate goal of filling ourselves with God's power is not to gain supernatural abilities or to achieve worldly success, though these may come as byproducts. The true purpose is to realize our oneness with God, to experience the infinite bliss and freedom that is our true nature. When we are filled with divine consciousness, we transcend all suffering, all fear, all limitation. We discover that we are not small, separate beings but expressions of the one infinite being that is the source and substance of all existence. This realization brings a joy and fulfillment that no worldly achievement can match. The journey of filling ourselves with God's power is not accomplished overnight. It requires patience, persistence, and unwavering faith. There will be periods of rapid progress and periods where we seem to be making no progress at all. There will be moments of profound spiritual experience and long stretches of apparent dryness. But if we continue with our practices, if we remain devoted to the goal, if we trust in God's grace, we will surely reach the destination. Every sincere effort we make is recorded in the cosmic ledger and brings us closer to the ultimate realization. The power of God is infinite and inexhaustible, always ready to fill us completely if we will only open ourselves to receive it.